so nilikuwa nasema hivyo, as much as tunafanya hizi forecast na analysis, as in most of these trades na tunawapatiaga ziwaga accurate, na mimi sijui kama nyinyi mnachukua ama mchukui. Some focus anatuma, Levi alituma zikaingiana, Euro USD ilituma zingine zikaingiana, and mimi sijui kama mnachukua. And hizi sessions kicreate, it's like an open discussion, okay? You want to learn, I want to learn, you see, everybody learns. You ask your questions, we see if you can get answered or not, okay guys? But unapata many of you guys mko silent, and then kidogo session ikiisha mnaenda inbox huko kwanza kutafuta mtu na maswali, and ukiwa hapa takuuliza, just ask, no one will eat you, no one will harm you, okay? So kuuliza si ujinga, okay? It's called learning. Nobody in this trading journey alianza kama ni professional. No one. Everybody starts from somewhere, and the destination we go ndio ina determine and the paths we choose. So wow, so vile nimwambia focus atajoin later, alikuwa na travel, and I think by now amefika home. So let's do a recap of what we had last week. And so we had this zone price ilikuwa inachezea inside the wicks of this zone. Wow, meet all. Oh. So perfect. I love vile mmekuwa wengi. So last week we had this structure, okay? So last week kulikuwa na these structures hivyo, and we had I'll do just the markups. We had this BOS over here, we had another BOS over here and we had another BOS over here, and then we had a minor one right over here. So all these were breaks of structures, So back to what I was saying, we had these structures, and all these were breaks of structures to the downside. And I told you guys this is just a pullback as per what we had seen on the monthly time frame. Like you can see on the monthly time frame, we have been on a downtrend, the general order flow. So you have this drop, and then price pulls back, drop, and then price pulls back, you get a drop, price pulls back, you get a drop, then you had a consolidation right here, then you had a pullback, and then you had a drop, pullback, and then drop. So it's the same thing on the daily that we can see here. We can see right now we are having that phase of a pullback, and these things wasn't happen, okay? Like if you look at from the monthly perspective, yeah, if you count the number of candlesticks, you find it 6 months apart from this zone to that high, 6 months. And if you look at when okay, focus ametumia message amesema atajoin ndo amefika nyumbani, alikuwa na travel. And so this is basically a pullback, and it's like a quarterly shift. Quarterly, there's usually that range that happens in quarterly shifts. There's that in a year. So kama sasa hivi vile kuna ma fundamentals vile tunaanza kuna ma fundamentals zinafanya kazi. So you can use a fundamental like the Feds started raising their interest rates since March. So March mpaka hapa you can see that drop. So if you are keen with the fundamentals were very important. You'd have caught these moves back huku chini, because when they raise their rates aggressively and inalalia these other currencies. So that's what we were seeing. And so I'll go back to the structure, and then we'll look at fundamentals before focusing here. And so this is what we had. Wow. And this is what we had. And I told you guys the same thing that had been happening in here, I would expect it to happen here. I told you these supplies are being invalidated, like this one. So this is the daily time frame. That was a supply, got invalidated. This one over here got invalidated, right? There's this one over here also. This one got invalidated. There was also this one over here, it got invalidated. And this goes by the phrase, the trend is your friend. So if you look at the trend, supplies are being invalidated, especially the higher time frame. So meaning price was making higher highs, kama kawaida. And so the same thing that had been happening on these supplies, we would expect it to happen here, and that's what I told you guys. And since we've mapped out our structure, so we'll recap on what I pinpointed last week, and Levi also pinpointed. So we have this internal low. This is a very strong internal low, this low. So let me mark it as a strong internal low. Internal low. Why is it a strong internal low? Because if by any chance we get a break of structure to the downside, it will have shifted the market structure, and it will be like a market structure shift. And so it will give you the perspective like the market is ready to sell off. And so I'll leave it as that. So I told you guys we had a trendline liquidity at first, which was this one. So this was the trendline liquidity. So we had that trendline liquidity over there, and then we had a weak high here. So this was our weak high, And kwa wale wameingia, I said this is an open conversation. If you have questions, you can ask, and we'll see how we can tackle your questions. Okay, and now we had a demand right over there, and there was another one down here. And the other time I taught you guys how to select a demand or a supply. So kwa nyamkuona, you can go to the YouTube video of the previous post, just the same like this, this one. Most of you guys usually mark the last bullish or bearish candlestick, but this it's not always necessarily that. But if you see, this is not a bearish candlestick but a bullish one, but it was respected because it was an order block, you see, and it was respected, a sniper entry, and price traded above, taking out the significant zone. So I won't go back to talking about that. So we had a break of structure here. So that was a significant break of structure for us, and it left a continuational demand over here and an extreme demand. And this demand, both of them were valid because they were at discounted pricing. So this one was slightly below the 50% level, and this one was the extreme demand. So we've mapped our external structures basically, and so we head over into our internal structure. So on the 2 hour, we had these zones. So we had a weak high. Kona swali? Someone, okay. And so we had this break of structure to the upside, and so we had this demand over here, over there, like that. And so we had our weak high, which was to be taken out. I didn't consider this a break of structure, guys, because there was nobody close above. It was only the wick. It wicked out the zone, so I did not consider it as a break of structure. And so we had this demand right here. And so down to the 30 minutes, and we look at what was happening. And I had some zones on the 15 minutes, and also just a little bit on the 2 hours. These zones had liquidity over here. So these is like relatively equal lows. It's not equal lows directly, but it's like relatively equal lows, meaning there's liquidity down here. Basically, there's liquidity down here. It's not supposed to be at zikwe equal lows to zimeshikana. No, this is like liquidity resting below here, because you can see price, it reacted from a zone and it has pushed up, and so there are stop losses down here, which is basically liquidity. And so I had a 15-minute zone. So so this zone I'll mark it as liquidity, like that. So I'll mark it as liquidity. And so we had 2 zones. We had a continuational supply here. So allow me to take out this daily zone. So we had a continuation zone over there. So it was visible also, I think, on the 45 minutes. Yeah, the 45 minutes. And we had this zone that had been mitigated here. And, this was a mitigation right there. And so the number of times, if you go check the videos, I've been telling you guys, sometimes these weeks hide good supplies or good demands. And so we had this zone over there. So we had that zone over there. And so our internal structure had shifted. And if you look at the trend, price was taking out the high and then the Asian high, and then there was an aggressive sell-off. So high and then takes out the high, and then there was an aggressive sell-off. And so there was this supply which acted as an inducement, because there was people here waiting to short it, because I shared it with you guys also. And me wanaingia na confirmation entries most of the time on tricky zones kama easy. And last week I wasn't trading. And so I was expecting the same thing to happen upper. And the internal structure had shifted like this. There were these breaks of structure over there. There was that BOS, and there was this one. That zone was valid. I won't lie. It was valid. It was quite valid. And we look at how it was used in the future. And we have that BOS. And so I'll play price. Price came. It opened Monday. On Monday. And this is why I usually tell you guys, it's not necessarily you have to trade on Mondays. It's not necessarily. But if your rules is so, just trade. And so we had that movement. And you see, guys, it got mitigated. And it was basically an inducement zone because there was liquidity resting above. It was an inducement. Yes. Yes, ask.
Why did you use that supply zone?
This one or this one? Which one? There are 2 that I'm talking about. Which one are you talking about specifically? This one or this one? Okay, you went silent. So I said this one was an inducement because there was this Asian liquidity in here that was to be taken out. If you look at the trend, it takes out the high, takes out the low, takes out the high, and then takes out the low. So I was expecting the same thing, but also this one was valid because it was like a continuation supply, but it was not respected, and so it took out, guys, like that. So it was an inducement. Excuse me, unaweza zima mic kindly. Thank you. If you have a question, open your mic. If you have a question, open the mic and ask. And so it got taken out, and I also remember last week I taught you guys on confirmation entries, and so we had that. So that zone was taken out, but I'll leave it still because I want to show you guys how it happened. So it's visible. It was visible on the 45 minutes also. So. namtanikaa ameuliza swali. It's okay. Dollar printer ya mambo yako. And so there's that mitigation. And I remember the last time I think I taught guys on how to enter confirmation entries the other time. Yeah. On M1, M5. And so yeah. There was this zone, this demand. And so this reentry ilikuwa kwa M5. M5. So there's that zone. Wait, let me look at it at M1 first. Ilikuwa kwa M5 though. And so there's that demand I was looking at. So price traded above. So there was what? It respected this zone. So let me mark this as mitigated. There you got the demand. And so as you can see, it respected this demand on the M1. So there was another zone here that was to act like a continuational demand. That was to act as a continuational demand, and price respected it, and then it traded below it. Yeah, traded below it, just like that. So on the M5, there was this zone. So once price traded below it, price had signified it was ready to sell off. And I'll play price. I'll also put this on, and so it was ready. And so there was also this demand over here. So price was ready to sell off. And so we were left out with the M5 supply right over there. And this setup, I sent it to my students, Alan and some guy called Campbell. And so that was the entry. And I remember there was a guy that asked Harun on the group, Dollar Printer in short. He asked him, where should I place my stop loss? And I remember Dollar Printer told him, always put your stop loss above the protected high. So I'll repeat the same thing. Always put your stop loss above the protected high. So the protected high was this high. Okay, so that was the protected high. And so entry at the opening, just like that. And my target was the equal lows, kule chini. That was the target. Upper chini. That was the target. And so, just like that. So back to the M5. So that was the target, those equal lows, and price traded back into the demand. And you see, the reason I tell you guys, when a tight stop loss, it might take you out, and then price trades towards your direction, your intended direction. And so from there, the trade went on, and most of you guys know last week was not my trading week, and I told you at a live session. And so price traded below, just like that. So that was a confirmation entry on that zone. And boom, GP was hit. And so as easy as that, that's how you look at confirmation entries. This is the second time I've spoken about confirmation entries. So it's up to you to go practice about it. And so that was the first trade. And the second trade was on this demand, this 2 hour demand. Oh my God, this 2 hour demand that we had marked. So the equal lows were taken out. So this was the second entry inside here. And so price traded, and that was too fast. Traded in there. So on the 1 hour, it pushed up. So it formed an equal low, but I was willing to take the trade. So on the M5 again. So back to yeah. So mimi msee naingiaga na confirmation entries. Kwa sababu wananijua wanajua vile mimi trade. So confirmation sometimes I enter aggressive. Depends with the risk. So on the M5. I remember nilikuwa nimemakia wase, I would love to see this Asian eye taken out. And I had seen this change of character over here. So this change of character, so this was already mitigated. And so we were left behind with the demand down here. And so I sent it to my students once again. Yeah, I think I sent it also to the group. And so price didn't come, but I was looking at this newly formed high right here. So there are people that got the trade, like I think it was Alex and Leonard. And so there was that aggressive push to the upside. So price broke structure. So it left out what? Another demand. Yeah. So 2 demands. Both of them are valid. Both of them. So this was the change of character. So first entry was to be there. And the first target was this target. But my intention was to take out the weak high, because that was because we had mitigated the high time frame demand, the demand that broke structure to the upside. So this was to be taken out, also this high. So back to the 5 minutes. So in the 5 minutes, so always remember, you see my stop loss is just right below the OB. And so price traded back into it, and then there was that push, aggressive push. And so that was the first entry, just a little bit. And so what did I see? Another change of character, another break of structure, not a change of character. And then the Asian high was taken out, but the volume, yeah, buys ilikuwa isha kick in. So there was another demand, yeah. So this was the second demand. So for those who are afraid of entering here, so they were given another re-entry. So price will give you multiple re-entries. Most of the time, it will give you multiple. It's up to you to find the chances. And so price came, mitigated. As I told you guys, always have your stop loss below your OB. If you had a tight SL, definitely spreads zingekutoa kwa hii hapa. Like if you are there, spreads zingekutoa. You see. But if you have it below, kidogo to slightly below or below a protected high or a protected low, so it will always be easy. So the target kama kawaida, it was the high. Now, this zone, it was a 45-minute zone. So to many, it was a continuation supply. So I was looking at it and waiting for a reaction to see what will happen. This zone over there, so I had marked it. So it was to be a continuation supply. But let's see what happened. Price went, rallied above. It tapped into it, and then I think it induced people. And then it took it out. It took it out to the upside. And so the reason I never took this zone, it's because we never had a break of structure to the downside. We never had any break of structure. It was only an internal break of structure. If it would have broken this demand, then I would have trusted it more. But it never took it out. And so hapa chini pia tuliachana nini tena? Equal lows. Hapo. So those are equal lows. And so TP was smashed. And then before TP was smashed, kuna wase wengi nimeonaga wakiulizaga kwa group, wanauliza Harun saa zingine akituma setup ama gentleman ama nani, wanauliza hii breaker inakuwaga nini. Now this is a classic example of a breaker. As you can see, price traded back inside it, but ukienda bado pia kwa 15 minutes you'll find there was an OB, this one, this order block, and I think Levi sent your setup. Levis, yeah, Levis I think he sent the setup. And so this was the zone that he entered, and his stop loss was kama tu kawaida below. And so as you can see, it was retested multiple times and it was a strong zone. So that's why I tell you guys, stop loss below. And so you can see inside your breaker, say 45 minutes zone, inside your breaker kulikuwa na nini? Kulikuwa na OB. So it creates those flip zones. Sasa hapo ndio nikuja understand what is a flip zone. My question is time your entry after the change of character na hiyo M5. Wait, my question is time your entry after the change of character in M5. Kama kuna swali fungua mic uniulize. Hiyo M5 hiyo 5 minute supply. Price time imerudi cross supply, unaitegea is na sell limit. Yeah, I never enter with a market execution. I never enter. All my moves are calculated moves. Market acha nini na market execution. Tumia sell limit ama buy limit. Make sure your moves are calculated, because nikiweka hiyo buy limit ama sell limit, I have calculated my risk. How much I'm willing to lose, how much I'm willing to gain. According, there's a time I will tell you, I usually take the 1 times 1 rule. So 1 times 1 meaning I usually trade 1% of my account. That's all. I never go full margin. Full margin niliwaambia mtrust focus naye. Mimi msoi kuja kwangu na full margin. Focus ndio atawapea setups za full margin. Hiyo ndo anajuaga is a bit more experience is on it. But for me, I go with 1 times 1 rule. So my risk is defined. My TP, I know my exit. Like I told you guys, that demand was to take out this high, and it took it out. And so this was a breaker, it got used. And we'll have a look at it again probably. I think it was used once or twice. And so that was the trades that I had sent. And back again, then we had that push to the upside. So tukakuwa na Asian session. Hii setup nilikuwa nataka kutuma, but nilikuwa na otherwise. So kulikuwa na hii demand, kulikuwa na otherwise, nilikuwa 50-50 sana sana naye. So me, I usually trade EU na GEO. So I had that zone, and there was a 10-minute zone. So nilikuwa nimeona ka order flow safi. So this zone was ilikuwa kwa 5 minutes first. Yeah, there was this zone got mitigated, that one, and kulikuwa na I think hii zone, but hiyo zone yenye mimi niliona kwa 10 minutes. And so I was watching this demand, kwa kona hii demand, so ilikuwa respected. And so there was that respect, but it failed. And so that happened. Once that happened, what was left behind? A continuational supply. Yeah. So me last week, remember guys, siko na trade. Ni trade tu kitu moja euro AUD peke yake. And so you can have your stop loss over there, you can have it over here. Depends with you. And so what was my thought? Rebalance price. So nilikuwa nafikiria rebalance to a 4 hour zone. Actually it was a 2 hour zone. Not a 4 hour zone. Here. So this zone, so allow me to remove this. So this zone was what I was looking to rebalance. So I marked that body and that wick hivyo. I was looking to rebalance there. And niliogopa kutumia hii setup jini kwa nimeona inaweza pea watu kidungi. And so mimi niliwatch to trade and traded in, and 15 minutes tunaambia. Traded inside it, and the profit was hit within no time. GR News. And so that was the second trade. So I trade order flow, supply and demand, liquidity. So mimi nilikuwa nimeona that change in structure. So that was the other trade, and hiyo ingine sikuangalia, but there was a trade inside here. So there was this continuation supply here, that one, continuation supply, and it did trade into it. And so why was this supply to be valid? It was to be valid because, remember guys, tuko na equal laws that have to be taken out huko chini. So equal laws means liquidity. And remember guys, nilikuwa nimeambia I expect the supply to be taken out for the higher time frame and then a pullback. So if I go to my daily zone kidogo tu, to my daily zone, that zone ilikuwa hii, and hii stuff ya supply kutolewa nilishinda nimeimba kwa nini zote, and you can see it was taken out just like the other supplies. So guys, you have to pay attention to what price does, what price is doing. Once you pay attention to what price is doing, most of the time utakuwa unapataga two chances kwa market. The market offers endless streams of opportunities. So that zone ilikuwa hapo, and there's that Asian liquidity. So I was looking at this zone. So entry yako tu kama kawaida, opening SL slightly above, depends with what you're risking, and then you would have targeted the 1 hour equal lows, which was right there. So back to 15. So price came back, and I think it happened time NFP. And TP ilikuwa smash. Miss trade hiyo wiki. Only Euro AUD was the only trade that I took, because hiyo trade nilikuwa na limits hapo. So it's the only trade that I took, and that's what I had on Euro USD. And so if we look at this week's forecast, so we have taken out the equal lows. So last week niliwatumia setup zote. So hii setup ya kwanza iliingia, ya pili iliingia. The only loss you would have taken was here, and that ungeingia tu na confirmation entry, of which if you did good. So tumebakia na kidogo ni clear chat zangu. I prefer clean charts. So that's what I had. And Levi Sijila amepotea wapi? Levi alikuwa anapea setups mingi sana. And so I'll be looking at this zone. I'll be looking at that zone, and also so 2 hour zone. I'll also be looking at these zones over here. So watch angle for 90 minutes. 2 hours. That zone also I'll be looking at it. So these are 4 hour zone. Don't forget it. If you can refine, probably not see on the 1 hour, because weeks are usually important. So I'll just leave it on the 4 hour. So I'll be looking for that zone. That zone over there, and this zone is also a zone that I'll be looking at. This demand and the extreme one. What else will I be looking at? So let's find another probable demand huko ndani. This one. Yeah. And now the problem, okay, my problem is usually Asian liquidity. If I just see an Asian liquidity, I don't prefer taking trades for Asian liquidity, because I know I'll be liquidated, and I don't want. So I'll leave that zone, Evo. So I'll be looking at that zone, and also this zone over here, this failed supply. It's also a zone that is going to be looked at, that failed supply. That failed supply is also a zone that you should look at. So that's what I'll be looking at this week. This zone, this extreme zone. But this extreme zone, I can take this one and this one, just like that. Evo. I can take that one. So those two zones for a sell-off. So either that comes, use proper risk management, again, confirmation entries, don't be liquidated. Yeah. So those are the things that you can look on EU. So the other trade that was there was GU. So I'll just do everything again, because some of you guys are learning from this session. So I'll repeat what I usually do, looking at market structure and the general concept of what order flow entails. And so looking at this market structure, the same thing, GU and EU and behave the same. So there's that pullback, drop, pullback, drop. So if you look at GU, here supplies in the quantity fail. So this is the weekly. So into the daily. Same thing pia huku supplies. Same thing pia huku supplies zimekuwa zikifail, the multiple supplies. Kulikuwa na huyu, there's that one, there was this one. Sijuagi nyinyi mna marking aje order blocks zenyu, but sometimes it's not necessarily this candlestick, but this one. So there's that supply failed, and now you are left with this daily zone here, which price I think will react wrong. Yeah. So same thing happened on GBPSD. Oh, my laptop. Sorry. So we had breaks of structures, and guys, mkwe mna note, when mark break of structure, si mark at weeks. No, I prefer body flows below. Weeks can be a liquidity sweep, and then ukafikiria ni break of structure. So ensure there's a body close, but it depends on who taught you. So for me, it's quite different. Same thing, strong internal low. Yeah. So this one was mitigated, and so on the 4 hour, there was a significant zone. Nilishikilia hii zone. Nikisema hii trade ya Pablo ilikuwa beautiful sana. Hizo Pablo had a beautiful trade and a strong zone. And last week, when you wako on your video, go to last week's video and mtasikia vile nisema about this zone. It was a failed supply that price created a demand, a continuation demand. And so we had a weak high hapa. So I'm identifying my zones, weak high. And there was this demand over here, which I won't refine now, but this is a zone you can look for price. If it breaks below, it will have shifted the structure of the market. And so there was that zone, and there was also this zone over here. This zone focus aliwatumia. I think when you scalp, mulipata profits na mkatoka break even. That's what I expect from you guys. So down to the 45 minutes, GU tuliangalia, and what I sent you guys last week was siko na vitu mingi, niliwatumia tu structure yangu. So what was my structure? It was a continuation zone. So this zone over here, why did I mark it? We shall see. There's that shift in structure that I had seen. So I'll change the color of this to white, tracing abstract. And so that happened. So we had that structure pushed to the downside. So niliona nini? Niliona demand imefail hapa. A demand had failed. Okay, and so I was left out with a 30-minute zone over here. So nikifuata structure vile inafanya. So ukiangalia 30-minute zone hivyo, look at what happened. G would come and mitigate a zone hapo ndani ya Asia. So niliambia sometimes si kila saa Asian liquidity itatolewa yote. Sometimes ina mitigate midpoint, 3/4. That's what I told you sometimes. You can see the same thing will happen hapa 3/4. So kwa kila video mkienda mwangalie, I've said that multiple times. And so I was watching that zone because of that push to the downside. And nilituma hii setup to my students and also kwa group. So kulikuwa na hiyo. So what was I looking at? Equal lows formed right there. I told you necessarily si lazima ati ikuwe ni equal lows mbili zimeshikana ndio unaona ni equal lows. So price traded back, mitigated it, and so I think on the 1 minute, mimi nimetoa confirmation entry on the 1 minute, this zone. Why this zone? This zone did what? It swept liquidity from these highs. Not easy, ilikuwa equal highs, a sweep liquidity. And there was also this zone hapa chini that I was looking at. Yeah, so it's up liquidity. It's up liquidity, and price traded below. So my entry was in there, so there was that re-entry over there. There was that re-entry over there. So there was a liquidity sweep. Once you see a liquidity sweep like this, just know the market is ready to go towards the direction it is intended for. So this was the zone. Stop loss was above the high, and the target was the equal lows pale chini hiyo hapo. And so it traded and hit TP. It hit TP before it rallied above. So TP was hit before it rallied above. And his zone, I think his zone ili happen time here. I think pia Levi alikuwa na his zone. I think pia alichukua hii hapa that I was looking at, and I had sent it to the group, and it hit TP before trading back above. And so that was the first trade. The other trade that I had sent was this one. Yeah. And he I told my students on SNG aggressive goja. So he trade in a come sahi, I was looking at this zone here hapa. And so he took out the Asian low. It left what? It left a supply again hapa. So his supply ilikuwa hii imeachwa nyuma. So imbalance supply. So guys, look at the same thing. It happens again. Okay? look at the Asian. It trades into it and then it drops. Same thing. It trades into it, it drops. So the same thing was to happen pia hapa. So market is going to repeat too. So if you follow what the market is telling you, itakuwa easier. And my target was equal lows once again. So these lows, no, it was this. Was it? Yeah, this low. This low. Because why that low? Ilikuwa imeacha liquidity mingi sana. So hii demand ilikuwa na liquidity mingi sana chini yake. So that low was to be targeted. So for me it was like an equal low. So 45 minutes. So hii setup nilikuwa nawatumia wifi ikaleta shida. Wifi yangu ili reload. So stops was above the high, Asian high, hivyo. And so my target was hiyo ndio iko hapo chini. And so ilishika, ili mitigate. So focus aliniuliza, niliambia focus buda, nimeona hii trade imetumiana nimeingiana kwa hiyo premium yangu. Focus akaniza una target nini? Nikamwambia unakumbuka hii demand yenye tulikuwa nayo. So hii demand nilikuwa nayo kwa 55 minutes, hata iko 4 hour. And so nilikuwa nimeambia wase kuna consolidation. The market was moving sideways. Basic things guys. Look at this market. It was moving sideways and there was this zone. So nikamwambia wase the market is moving sideways and I'll be looking at this zone. This zone was a high probable zone. So mimi nilichukua from 55 minutes nili refine. So my entry was to be hapo 55 minutes. Entry midpoint yake but sikuingia because siku trade last week. Niliongoja sana and TP was smashed. And so leo asubuhi tulikuwa na a discussion guys. A discussion of how this zone was used. So 4 hour zone. So hizi zones, these are significant. So if you look at the way price was trading into it, no candlestick closed inside it. None of them closed inside it. None of them. They would all trade and then push back up, trade, push back up. So it traded 1, 2, 3, 4, and this can be the 5th time. Then it was invalidated. So think in terms of accumulation of orders. Think in terms of support and resistance. So this was basically like a support. Ilikuwa na support. Price was being supported here. And hii high pia ndakuwa naangalia because ina store liquidity. And so this was the discussion asubuhi. And price traded into it. So when walipewa hii limit na focus aliwaambia mweke break even because of news. And so before news it traded above and then ndio ikakuwa invalidated. So it traded above kidogo alafu ikakuwa invalidated. And so guys, look at how price traded into your zone tena. It traded into it. So it turned out the support turned out to be a resistance. And look, the same thing happened again. No candlestick closed inside it. Only when it was invalidated. So mkipay attention to these things on the charts. Hizi vitu mtaziona quite often. Kwanza hii GBP USD, Euro GBP, favorite pair focus, and then muangalie hizo vitu. Nakumbuka the time I took serious kuangalia hizo zones. Haruna alipata trade hapo na focus na walifinya vibaya hiyo market. And since that day, nilienda nikafanya research kwa nini walifanya hapo. And the same zone was it came to be used later on. Ilitumika kama continuation demand, and you can see these zones are usually strong. So you can see it will cause breaks of structures to the downside. And so GU, there was those two setups. So moja haikuingia because wifi ilinichezea, so singeweza kusend, but at least I sent you guys a couple of trades from EU, GU, and it worked out. And also the Euro AUD trade, I told you guys muangalie pair, and sijui kwa nini waliangalia sawa, kwa nini wako angalia sawa. And so that's what I had. And kuna mtu akona swali ananiambia before I give it to focus. If you have a question, ask before I give it to focus. And so here I'll be looking at this continuation zone hapo. So kama kuna mtu akona swali ask.
Wait, left of team.
Yeah, sema Jarun.
Niki mama niko FM either. Niko fit uko.
Niko poa.
Kuna stuff nilikuwa nafikiria leo.
Aha.
Hebu hata niambie kama ina make sense. Check. So kwa hii OB for example kwa hii supply umesema hakuna kukuwa na candle close hapo chini, sio?
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
So inaweza kuwa OB au inaweza kuwa imbalance, ndio. So my question is my question is, so mimi like if umepata tell me your supply ya 240 minutes, sio?
240 minutes. Yeah, so 240 minutes supply. 4, yeah.
4 hour.
Yeah, 4 hour.
So ukipata 4 hour unaangalia kama kutakuwa na candle close pin yake ya 4 hour. Kwa 4 hour time frame page hiyo supply ama imbalance ya 4 hour, sio?
Yeah, this imbalance in here.
Again, kama ni supply na ni ya 4 hour, unafaa tu consider kama kuna candle close chini ya hiyo zone ya 4 hour, sio?
Yeah. So unaona there was a candle close here, this low. These are significant points. And so why was it a significant point? You see this demand over here, it has been invalidated. You see, so there's a candle close below. See, below those zones. So this was a demand. So market may shift the structure to the downside. So what I would look for easy confirmation or liquidation, and then I would trade targeting the low line fruits, either swing low, any, yeah. So sijui kama zone is fine. Wait, let me look at the 90. Yeah, you can refine it to this one.
Na ukida-
So wacha niangalie
na
tu.
ukitafuta tu market capital.
Yeah, you look, unaona how I choose my zones, how I choose my OBs hizo zote. You see this candlestick, eh? This one to be specific. No candlestick trades above it, between this one and this one. It's the only one that trades above, meaning liquidity was what, right? So there's no liquidity inside it. And so this zone naweza kai refine back hapo ini 2 hour. Yeah, so I can refine it till the 2 hour, and you can see that volume of imbalance. And so the reason kwa nimemaki yote, it's because pia kuna haka break, haka ka demand. Unaona? So I would love to see mitigations inside here. So I think of itamakia yote. Yeah, inamakia yote. But if you have to refine it kwa 2 hour. Hivyo. It's the same thing. Ukiangalia hii GU where it reacted kwa daily, the demand, it's the same thing, same concept, okay? Same concept. So this is the daily zone, right? Look at this zone it reacted from. Na unajuaga Aaron, volume huwa inatoka kwa nini? Si kwa body. So unajua hivyo? Always, you know that. And so
Juu kwa bodi kuna opening price.
yes, volume comes from the body. And so if you look, there's no candlestick that trades below this one. None. Between this one and this one. So it sweeps liquidity and trades above, taking out these zones. So you see this zone was a strong zone and it was used to the upside. Okay? Kuna mtu ameingia hapo sitaki nichelewe. Mwingi. So the same thing. So volume huwa inatoka kwa body. But also hizi my indecision candlestick, focus ali explaining about indecision. Niyo sasa mfai kuna ndio zingine za indecision. Nakumbuka ki explain hapa. But anyway, that zone is a zone that I'll be looking at. So unaweza refine up to 2 hours. Ukitaka 4 hours. You can see that imbalance. But 4 hours don't until baka this zone. So saa zingine unaweza refine sana ukapitwa na trade. So I'd rather have it like that and wait for entries huko ndani. I wait for something like ikam idanganyana inashuka iliquidate watu alafu i break to demands hapo kwa lower time frame, mimi niingie ni short hivyo tu. And so vile market itafungua ndo tafuata hiyo structure. And so this was a BS. Tena naweza mark BS kwa demand. So you see there's a body close. Mimi wasi mark weeks. Like if you look at this one, yeah? Like for example, look at this. Si ili week out kidogo tu, ili week out na kidogo tu, alafu ika trend chini. Meaning ili sweep liquidity ilikuwa hapa. Ili week out na kidogo alafu ina trend chini. Will you consider that as a break of structure? No, me I won't. I will only consider a body close above. Me for weeks I don't consider them. I don't consider them. For me, that's what my rule says. For you, I don't know. So, and so this is like a continuation supply. Either we see it comes, it mitigates, trades into this probably, trades into something probably. This one fails probably. I don't know, but probably. But yeah, I hope nimekujibu. Nimekujibu? Arun?
Yes, sir.
Haya, anyone else with a question? Acha niangalie hizi chats. Kwa kumpuliza. Hakuna. Anyone else with a question?
Mkuu niulize.
Niambie.
Hiyo hizi recording una record kwa YouTube channel inaitwa
Focus Academy. Focus, tuma link bana.
Fit.
Okay, utaona link hapo kwa chats.
Wazi.
Haya. Anyone else with a question? By the recordings, Euro GBP iliingiana. Nilionyeshana, Focus akaonyeshana. Let's go back to it. Let me look for that Euro GBP. But me, siku hizi na trade EU na GU pekee. Kulikuwa na ifo zone. And then kwa recordings, mtapata hii zone. Focus alirudia, mimi nilirudia. I think pia Lena alionyeshaga. Yeah. And so, I want to show you guys something, mnaulizaga about those flip zones juu. So, just a minute. I'll show you guys what happens. So, which time frame was it? So, this one. Was it on the 4 hour? Because this one is zone yenye iko similar na kwingine. So this one also. Yeah. So you can see that zone, meaning it was to work like a continuation supply. So go check on the corner na 30 minutes uko chini. Yeah, ma supply. So 90 minutes. So unapataga hizi zones huwaga ka continuation demands. Yeah, supplies. So ndo hizo. So you see, hizo supplies ina fail. Ina create demand. So you see that demand. Hizo demands huwaga very strong zones. You can see was used. Look at this zone. Vile tu nimemark. I had two supplies. The one hour. There was this supply and there was this one. Both of them tulifanya kwa analysis. These are recordings. Zilikuwa sent. This one worked. But what did price do? Price came back again, rallied above. So when it rallied above, ilikuwa ishatumika. So hiyo ilikuwa imetumika, meaning there were orders here hapa, meaning kulikuwa na orders, kwa hiyo wanawazona hapo. And look, when it was invalidated, smart money hufanya nini? Watarudi wachukue hizo orders, wanazi accumulate and then wanazifuel kwenda. And I think probably hata wanaweza invalidate hii supply. Ndio kwa maana sipendagi kama price imereact kwa breaker kama Flipson na kuna OB iko open na mnaona iko open, mimi siwezi chukua hizo zone, siwezi chukua. And so you can see on the 1 hour vile hiyo supply ilitumika, it was used. So hakuna supply ama hakuna demand itaiachiliwa na smart money ovyo ovyo, hakuna, lazima wa make sure wametumia zote. And so what do you see guys? The same thing, it left what? This kazone, that kazone ilikam ikainduce wase, ikaonyesha inaenda chini, ikainduce wase, kacha nini ako ka demand, ikakuwa invalidated, ikaenda. Hii kitu nimeonyesha by the way kila saa, hata kwa video ile ya gold. So normalize your eyes seeing it, normalize kuona. So focus atafanya analysis ya forecast yake. Mr. Apia forecast hii wiki ndio tumia kwa group. Anyone else with a question before ni hand over kwa focus? Anyone else? Tunaona nikaa kuna swali hapa. Ingia ya channel ya focus. Oh, okay. Peter amesema. Anyone else with a question? Oh ya focus. So endelee. Mimi nishamaliza side yangu. Kwa hapa. Jamaa alikuwa
Wait a minute. Who